Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Now, I literally just finished recording a video regarding Final Fantasy XIV and the Sea of Thieves. As you're aware, Sea of Thieves is now the most pre-ordered game on PlayStation in the US and other regions, pushing ahead of PlayStation exclusives. And of course, there's the news of Final Fantasy, well, there's the discussion going around that I wanted to put my 2 cents in regarding Final Fantasy XIV being on Game Pass and the subscription being part of Game Pass, and whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. And so I had that video made, and then I saw this, and I decided that, for my YouTube members who get the content early, you'll get that video later on today. But that video is going to be pushed to tomorrow because I think this one over here is quite important and one that I want to react to today and one that I want to cover today and want to talk about today, because the news of Xbox games going to other platforms is starting to get old, is starting to get annoying, is starting to get frustrating. Everyone and their goddamn grandma is now an insider. My cat Oreo has become an insider. That's how valid these points are getting at this point. It's old, it's getting frustratingly boring, and it seems like more and more Xbox influencers, more and more people who were Xbox Pro actually now want Xbox to go third party. That is the way I'm seeing it. Because the more you start to damage the brand yourself, the more damage you're doing to the brand anyway. And at the end of the day, if the community around you, the ones that do care, are championing this sort of stuff, championing this message, championing and pushing these rumors forward and out into the world to create even more controversy, well, at the end of the day, I'm going to say this as blunt as possible. Why the fuck should Microsoft care? It's that simple, right? It's that simple. But I want to listen to this first, and I want to just break it down, right? So we're going to do that right now. Here we go.
You something, because I'm not throwing anyone under the bus here. And I've kept this under my hat for quite some time. But I've now confirmed this with 4 separate sources. I haven't seen any documentation or banners that would prove it, but I have confirmed it with 4 separate sources that also say the same thing.
So at the moment, there is no proof, just sources saying, just like they did previously with all of these games coming to other platforms, that they were coming. There was never any proof. There was then never any concrete evidence. Everyone was going off the notion that it's going to happen because insiders have come out and said X, Y, and Z, and everyone ran on the bandwagon that this was going to happen. And what happened in the end? All of it was falsified. Now, I know people are going to come and say, it was all true because Hi-Fi Rush, everyone and their grandma, even my pet cats knew that Hi-Fi Rush was going. That was never a secret. Now, everyone also knew that Sea of Thieves was going as well. Now, the two they didn't know about was Pentiment and Grounded. And that was pretty much given away during the PlayStation presentation. But apparently, everyone knew those as well because there comes some kind of mystic psychic. They didn't know jack shit, really. Because if they knew about those, they would have actually spoken about those as well. But the reality is, Pentiment only started being spoken about after I said it was going to PlayStation. And I said this before the Xbox presentation, and during the Xbox presentation, I told people, I told you so it was going. But up until that point, no one talked about it. And after I said it, guess what? Everyone started talking about Pentiment. But anyway, let's continue.
So there is a Hellblade 2 port for PlayStation.
That's fucking bullshit.
That's
like,
what
I don't mean it's not true. I just mean that's ridiculous. That's a dumb thing.
I really think what they're going to do is that they've tested the waters slightly, and I think they're going to get, if it's not Phil, I think they're going to get further pushed to try something, and I think Hellblade and Starfield will be the 2 games.
And there you go. I think this is going to happen. I think this is what's going to happen. I think this is what's gonna transpire. Starfield isn't even in development. There is no port. The version of Starfield that was started presumably on PS5, that version of the code is so old it's not usable. Now we can only go by the information that we have in front of us. Phil has said that Starfield and Indiana Jones is not in development for PS5. Now, after that point, if it started development, we are none the wiser. But at that point, that is the only information we have, that it is not in development. But according to Riskit, it's now in development. Well, it's been in development for a while. And so has Hellblade. Anyway, let's continue.
That they send over to either finalize we're not doing this, or finalize we are going to do this.
If they do those two games, in my opinion, they might as well not have an Xbox. Honestly, that's just my opinion. Like a console. It's ridiculous, man. Those kind of games, you are doing more damage to your platform than the money you gain from having them on other platforms. I get the live service stuff, but those single player games, nah, man, they've got to be your big carrots that you try to get people to come into your ecosystem for.
And that's it, right? And Phil repeatedly said at the time that he will not do anything to damage the Xbox brand. These games that he's already ported over, Pentiment, Grounded, Sea of Thieves, and Hi-Fi Rush, they are small games. They're not damaging the Xbox ecosystem. They're not damaging the Xbox brand. They've kind of reached peak maturity. They're not selling the Xbox console. They're not selling Game Pass. They're not adding any value anymore outside of the existing player base. I'm guessing that even Sea of Thieves, for how successful it actually is, isn't actually getting any more new players. Maybe the trickling few here and there, but not in the hundreds and thousands that they want to see. So pushing it to another platform will see that huge growth. Now, for a single player game, that is what sells your console. That is what sells your hardware. Those are your staples. Now, you could argue Hi-Fi Rush is a single player game, but it's also a very niche game that virtually shifted 0 consoles. A game like Starfield shifted consoles. A game like Hellblade 2 will shift consoles, but we've already had confirmation that Starfield is not in development. So at this point, no matter what Phil says, no matter what Sarah says, no matter what Matt says, everything that they say is bullshit because an insider has confirmed that this is happening. So what's the point of Microsoft or anyone in that conglomerate ever coming out and saying X, Y, and Z if everything they say is going to be taken as bullshit, lies, no truths whatsoever? Like, I don't even blame Microsoft at this point for not coming out and saying anything, because there's just no point. Now, I agree with Garuda here, because Garuda makes a valid point. Garuda says that if these games go over to, competing platforms, what's the point in owning them? What's the point of even releasing an Xbox? Because free games alone with Halo, Forza, and Gears is not enough to push a console. And as we have seen, Halo Infinite was a good game. From all the reviews I've seen, I've still yet to play it because it released incomplete in my opinion, and I really wanted to at the time play it with co-op, and it wasn't available, and it just fell through the cracks for me. I'm still going to play it at some point, but I was disappointed that it didn't release with co-op, so I couldn't play with my friend like we always do with Halo. Forza Motorsport kind of fell through the cracks as well. And Gears, we haven't had a Gears in such a long time. It's taken too long. And the next Gears that comes along, considering how long we've waited, and I do trust Coalition games, but that needs to blow us out of the water. But can one game really hold a console? No. You need multiple exclusives to keep that going, as well as multiple third-party exclusives. So I totally get what Garuda is saying here, but at the same time, I just don't see it. Why would Microsoft purposefully want to release a console, want to release a handheld console, and then go out of their way to jeopardize and sabotage their own platform and stop their sales? Like, what's the point of even the full-fat console at this point? Just release the handheld on its own and be done with it, because all your games are going elsewhere anyway. I don't know. It's weird. It doesn't make sense to me. None of it makes business sense to me. And if one thing is for sure, Business sense is something Microsoft does. They look at numbers, they crunch numbers, and this doesn't make sense. Now, sure, will the games make more money going to other platforms? They will. But like Jim Ryan said, gaming is an entertainment platform. And in order to keep people, in your gaming sphere, in your entertainment sphere, you make good, high quality video games that are exclusive to your platform that keep people within your four walls. Obviously, with the push for PC, that's a little different, but PC for some reason is regarded as not being multi-plat. So I'm excluding that entirely. And, we've seen the 4 games, and people keep saying that 4 games are the only games that are going. It is not. That much I can agree with. There are going to be more smaller titles that are going. But I do not see any of the tentpole flagship titles like Hellblade, Starfield, Gears, Halo, Indiana Jones, Blade, Elder Scrolls 6 going to other platforms. Because once these games start going, there's no point in Xbox outside of Game Pass. And to be fair, you can have a PC and have Game Pass and you don't need the console. Right? It's really that simple. A £500 PC can outperform an Xbox console and a PS5 today. We've seen it. Linus Tech Tips, regardless of how you feel about him, built a $500 PC that outperformed PlayStation 5 on games for games, like for like. So there's a video of that out there. Go check it out. So, and I'll take the humble L as well, because I said it wasn't possible. It is now. He's proved it. The PC didn't look great, but anyway, let's continue.
I just think that it's so frustrating. They were so close to finally being there, to finally realize the potential of the platform. And then it's disappointing, man. Anyway.
And this is the part that I was getting at during a couple of my streams. The ABK deal for Microsoft overall is a fantastic opportunity, right? They've got huge revenue increases now through Call of Duty Mobile, with King as well, with Candy Crush. They've got massive revenue streams now coming from every direction, making their business even more profitable. But the console side of things, in terms of like the gamers, the consumers, they have not seen a single benefit since the acquisition. In fact, since the start of the acquisition, Xbox gamers have lost out. They've lost out hard. They've had, for 2 years they had almost no showcases. They had almost no first-party releases, while Microsoft tried to show themselves weak to the FTC and CMA and the regulators. They have lost cloud. In terms of being forced to give it to Ubisoft. They've had to sign 10-year deals, pushing all of their games to other platforms, which in essence has made them, pull back the reins on their xCloud platform, because that's something that's a perk that's part of Game Pass Ultimate. It's a perk. It's not something that would really affect anything. So it's there. It's part of the Xbox Ultimate platform, and you do get to play online. And I've used it. It plays well. It's good enough. But, it's nothing compared to the standalone GeForce Now. And now you see PlayStation pulling ahead in certain areas with cloud, with like the resolution and stuff like that. But do you blame Microsoft for not pushing ahead with the cloud, considering they've lost almost all accountability for it with Ubisoft and the 10-year contracts and everything else? No. This ABK deal has hurt them. It's hurt them hard. It's hurt them good. And, ultimately, from a business point of view, like I said, it was hella worth it. And as the consumers expected big things to come from this acquisition, they've got jack shit. There's no backwards compatibility games that are on the platform. I keep seeing, people, I'm not going to name names, posting and tweeting that these games are coming. I mean, if they come if they come 20 years later, I really don't care. These games should have been there by now. They promised, well, at least that was the word, that in January we were supposed to have our first drop. It didn't happen. Whatever logistics and complications there are that's going on right now, I don't know. I'm not in the business side. I'm not in the boardroom. I don't claim to be in the boardroom. I don't claim to be friends with any of these people. It's a business. And there's a business relationship there. I'm a consumer. They are the business. They are trying to get my money. If I like what they're selling, they get my money. If I don't like what they're selling, they don't get my money. It's really that simple. But this was a time where all the jigsaw pieces were coming together. And, with all these rumors and now this resurfacing again, it's starting to get old. But I totally get what Garuda is saying. It's frustrating because everything built to this point, this nexus point, where Microsoft could really demonstrate just how powerful they are. But in return, they have been cucked, they have been, shackled, and they really can't do jack shit. Now, is this the right approach that they're doing? I don't think so. But they really need some form of aggressive marketing. They really need some form of aggressive deals, aggressive pushes to get games that are skipping Xbox to be on there, to win those marketing deals, to win those marketing deals not only in America but in other countries with games that aren't that usually that popular with Xbox that could help sell it in other regions. Or maybe, if anything, partner up with Sega and release a console, a Dreamcast branded console. I mean, this is just me spitballing. They must have thought about stuff like this. They can't be this stupid. But anyway, they need to do something. And the alternative to doing nothing is to eventually diminish all presence as a hardware platform and just focus on what they do best, which is software. But for those people that have stood by Xbox for such a long time, I think they deserve more. Not just with these rumors. I mean, in general, they deserve more. They deserve better, right? Game Pass is great, but they still deserve better. And these rumors are just not helping. And wherever Riskit is getting his information, fair enough. But at the end of the day, there's no proof. If he came out with a banner officially with the Xbox logo watermark that said Hellblade 2 with a PlayStation logo on it, it's coming, like a leaked document of something, I would 100% be okay with that. But just going by the whole considering, I think, and this and that, nah, it doesn't fly with me.
Anyway.
Yeah, look, it is disappointing. I've had plenty of time to sit with it and get right with it. So, and the what I came to is that, I'm always going to be Xbox, and that's fine. And, that port may never see the light of day and things may change.
And there we have it. There's his get out of jail free card. Now, this is the stuff I've heard. I've heard it from 4 people, but things may change and it may never happen. That's it. So that get out of jail free card that he's put right there nullifies everything that he said. Because if you are 100% certain that this exists and is happening, you wouldn't need to say that. It's that simple. Now, I do get things change and plans change, but if you're investing 100,000 or 10 million or 15 million in a port and then you're just going to randomly throw it away, I mean, we saw PlayStation do that with Factions. That was really dumb, by the way. But companies don't usually like to throw money away, right? So all he's done here is said, I've got 4 sources that are telling me that this is happening, but plans can change, business strats can change, and here's my get out of jail free card. I did say that this might not happen. So what's the point of even saying anything if you're not even sure it's going to happen? Enter Rumorville.
But knowing that port exists, and knowing that a Starfield port exists,
it doesn't exist. Phil Spencer said it doesn't exist.
It's pretty concerning, which is why I've not been like, there's a lot of people, and look, there's going to be a lot of people that go like, you're full of shit. And that's fine. But I know what I know. And I obviously operate with the knowledge. You operate differently with the knowledge that you have, right? So we've seen a lot of people in the last, since the podcast going, it's only 4. Well, it's not only 4 for me.
Everyone knows. Anyone that's coping that it's going to stop at 4 is suffering severe copium. They've clearly said smaller titles after a year that has no value to Xbox in terms of monetary or player growth. Pentiment had no monetary or player growth. Hi-Fi Rush reached its peak, quite early. It didn't sell Xboxes. It didn't sell Game Pass. Neither did Pentiment. Neither is Grounded. And right now, neither is Sea of Thieves. Now, that could potentially apply to a lot of games. In 5 years' time, Halo might no longer be, the Halo 1 OG might not be making any more money. Or Starfield might not be making any money in 5 years' time. But they've said that they are not going to put any games on there that will damage the Xbox brand. And to me, Starfield and Hellblade 2 would fall within that.
For me, it's 6, and 2 of them are huge. And I'm not sure how the community will react to that. And look, to be honest with you, I'm only saying it today because, we've got the intimate chat happening. We don't have mass amounts of people in, and it probably won't even get out. So.
And that's absolutely bullshit, right? He knows exactly that this is going to get out and it's going to get him some clicks and going to get him some clout and it's going to get him some traction on social media where people are going to come up to him and ask him some questions. This is all calculated. This is all deliberately done. To turn around and say, oh, I'm doing it here because it's really small. I'm sorry, Risky, but that's that's bullshit.
So but I definitely wanted to talk about it. So if that's the case, right, it didn't make sense to send the first 4, if that's the case, though, because you would send your biggest, your best and your brightest and see how they do. And I still don't think that they'll do well. I just don't think...
And as we have seen, Sea of Thieves is now already contradicting what he's saying, as it is the most pre-ordered game ahead of PlayStation exclusives on PlayStation. So it is doing very well.
That the games that Xbox have appeal to that audience. And I do think they're different audiences. I do think there's a bit of crossover.
I agree with that. The Xbox and the PlayStation audience is totally different. On one side, you've got the waifu hunters and those that love their stellar ass cheeks. Hey, I like it. On the other side, you've got your bro gamers with like Gears and Halo and multiplayer side of things who, Xbox gamers do prefer multiplayer games.
I think they're different audiences. And
so that's basically the clip. And yeah, that's my view on it. But as you can see here, Jez Corden says, can confirm that as of right now, this second, this is completely false. Now, regardless of how you want to see Jez Corden and react to him, obviously all of these people have been wrong in the past. Jez has been, in my opinion, more or less on point. There has been a few points where he's been completely and utterly wrong. He's fallen into that trap of, hey, I'm just going to, go in and be as false about this as possible. But, I actually do think he's more right than wrong. And I do believe when he says this is completely false. I think he has a bit more credibility, or a lot more cred, than Risk It. And that's no offense to Risk It. I just think Jez works in the industry and has just a higher standing. He just will have access to more people. But I could be wrong. Risk It could literally be friends with Phil Spencer for all I know. And yeah, thank you. People like Risk It aren't insiders, and it's time for the general community to see that just because you have a podcast doesn't mean you know anything. And that is correct. I don't know everything. I have podcasts, I have talk shows where I mainly go solo. Though if people want to jump on, feel free. But at the end of the day, it's right there. And I will go with this until it's proven incorrect. That's my standing to this. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Like I said, the other video is going to go out later on. But this one I wanted to get out first. Okay. That's it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release. And I'll see you in the next one. Remain legend.